There's a full moon in Sagittarius on Tuesday, June 14th, and it will sextile Saturn and square Neptune. Our dreams will get tested by the Lord of Karma, Saturn, asking us to rethink, release, and let go of certain goals and ideals. Let's talk about it in depth and break it down for each rising sign. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. If you'd like to work with me, there's a link down below. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, or leave me a comment. All of that helps, and I truly appreciate it. So this full moon occurs on Tuesday, June 14th at 7:51 a.m. Eastern at 23 degrees Sagittarius. So if you have planets 3 degrees before or 5, let's say 3 degrees before, so from 20 Sag until 26 Sag, or any of the mutable signs, Gemini, Pisces, Virgo, Sag, you may feel this energy stronger. You may feel it affect your emotions or the other sector of your life, dependent on which planet is in those signs, in those degrees. So let's say if you have your Mars in 24 degrees Sagittarius and the full moon occurs next to your Mars, you may feel your independence get tested. There may be certain things you have to release, certain anger, certain frustrations, and try to find a way to express it in a healthy way. Full moon is always busy time, right? It's the lit up moon, the brightest the moon ever gets in its cycle. And because the moon is lit up and moon rules our emotions, we may feel lit up. But considering we're out of the eclipse season and last full moon was actually a lunar eclipse, this is like a piece of cake compared to the lunar eclipse that we dealt with in Scorpio, especially because that one was in Scorpio. Oof, that was a tough eclipse. So look at what kind of things you started in your life in December, especially as I break it for each sign. Take a look at what was happening in your life around December 4th, when we had the new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius. Overall, Sagittarius deals with faith and things that drive us. A lot of times Sagittarius is very idealistic. It's ruled by Jupiter. So this full moon to me feels very much like what kind of ideals are real in life? Which ones of your dreams have you reached or you can reach, and which ones do you have to maybe rethink or let go or close the chapter on? And as well as like things you believe in, right? Like there's a lot of things that we go in life believing that are not always correct. And the same goes for the words that we say to ourselves or the things that drive us, right? Like you may think that you really want a spouse, for example, or you want a relationship, but in reality you want support and care and affection. Or like, sometimes maybe you substitute that with sex, but then in reality that's not what you want. So it could be a good time, I guess all I'm saying is like rethinking those things, especially because full moon is an opposition between the sun and the moon, and the sun is in Gemini, and Gemini breaks things apart, and the moon is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius unites things. So we're dealing with unity versus tearing things apart. And sometimes in order to find unity, you first have to tear things apart and then put them back together in a new order. I was listening to the Nightlight Astrology podcast. I bring it up quite often, but he was talking about the recent Mercury trine to Pluto and speaking about words and how words have incantational power, especially in the collective, but also on a personal level. So the more you say something, the more strength that has, right? To a point almost that when there is certain words that are negative, like a word trigger or word stress, just hearing those words can create an emotional response to it. So a task I want to give you for this full moon, look at the words you say and look at how they support or not support your belief? Like, how are they standing in the way of your goals and your ideals? So some aspects that this full moon is making, it's sextiling Saturn in Aquarius, which is a lovely supportive aspect, means that you are thinking about the long term. There might be certain rewards coming your way, certain recognition for the work that you've been doing. At the same time, this full moon also squares Neptune. And Neptune can bring a tinge of disappointment, a tinge of uncertainty, confusion, maybe needing to pivot, needing to be patient. You're more vulnerable. Like, you may feel lower on energy, even though it's a full moon, and a lot of times it makes us feel kind of hyper. But maybe you feel electric, but you don't quite know where to apply yourself to. And it's okay not to have all the answers. It's okay not to know. And even the tinge of disappointment and dissatisfaction can be literally from accomplishing your goal. Like, you have gotten great results and you feel like, but what's next? But Sagittarius wanting to have the next adventure. So maybe this Neptunian energy is just connected to you not knowing what's next. But of course, there is also an element of sacrifice, which feels to me like whatever this full moon brings and the rewards you get with Saturn might not be exactly as you envisioned them. And so with Neptune, there's also a sense of what is more important, pursuing this ideal that maybe is unreachable, or trying to enjoy the fruits of your labors and enjoy the real tangible results. Like, this could be, a few possibilities. Like I said, getting rewarded, getting a promotion, but maybe not getting as big of an office as you wanted. So there's a tinge of disappointment there. Or you get a promotion and there's more work that's coming and you sort of didn't consider that it's going to be this hard. So you're looking at it with like a serious lens of Saturn. You're looking at your goals, dreams, ideals with a serious lens of Saturn. And this full moon is ruled by Jupiter in Aries. Jupiter in Aries is ruled by Mars, currently in Aries. So there's also a lot of bravery and energy to this full moon and independence. So it feels very much self-driven, or like, questions of your identity are very important at this time. Some rituals that I kind of thought about would be journaling about the words that you say and things you believe, right? Like stuff that I was saying in the beginning of this video, like paying attention to how, even just being like, what words do you say more often, and which words are positive and encouraging and deserve maybe to be highlighted, or which words deserve to be brought into your life more, and which ones maybe you need to replace. Like maybe something that is stressful, like the word stress, maybe you can replace it with the word feeling scattered, right? Like instead of feeling overwhelmed or stressed, you can say I'm feeling scattered, and that already feels like better. Meditation, journaling, going in the nature and doing those things in nature could be wonderful, because that's what Sagittarius likes. Getting away, traveling, thinking about travel, getting away, escaping in your head to some place that feels safe and happy to you, like in your favorite book, and trying to relax and release and like take it easy and not fret or stress too much about things, because like I said, with Neptune, you don't always have to have all the answers right away. Let's take a look at what this might bring for your sign. And I recommend listening to your rising sign, because that tends to be the most accurate, but you can also listen for your sun and your moon sign. And if you have, if this resonates, let me know in the comments below. It always helps to know how this energy plays out in real life. For Aries rising, full moon occurs in the 9th house. It sextiles Saturn in the 11th, and then it squares Neptune in the 12th. Full moon in the 9th is always, take a look at what was happening in your life in December 4th, 2021. But this 9th house is the place of faith, religion, beliefs, education, travel, expansion. So somehow you are closing a cycle of expansion. Maybe you are, and it's sextile Saturn in the 11th house. So something that is supportive of your future, right? Maybe you're graduating, maybe you are traveling with friends, maybe you are starting to teach. There might be interesting possibilities connected to the 9th house. Yeah, like definitely changes connected to travel, education, religion, philosophy. Like your views might be changing, and somehow that is supported by your friends. Maybe you've met new people and they're sort of encouraged you to open your mind and open your ideas to new ways of understanding. Be careful with the square to Neptune in the 12th house. Be careful of these new, there might even be like opportunities coming to you through friends, but be careful with the 12th house Neptune squaring this new moon of either trying to get really quick results, because maybe you're doing something under the radar behind the scenes that you're trying to get there without fully following the legal procedure of it, and that can be destructive for you. Or be careful, another thing that I feel like might be encouraging here is to release old views of things, because Neptune is in the 12th house. 12th house is the place of self-undoing. So anything you believe in that doesn't serve you, that is outdated, a goal, a friendship, a relationship, anything that is holding you back, dragging you back, making you upset, might be the time to let that go. Changes to travel are possible too, where maybe you have been planning a trip and you go on it, or you have to postpone it too. I wonder with that tinge of, Neptune in the 12th house, some kind of unpredictable thing that feels frustrating, but then it serves you with Saturn in the 11th house. Like, if you were planning to go on a trip and it gets postponed and you feel frustrated, but then it allows you to maybe work on your dream project. Other things, you may see a legal issue completing, especially if something got started in December last year, and maybe some of your work getting published is a possibility too. For Taurus rising, this full moon occurs in your 8th house, and it's sextile Saturn in the 10th, squares Neptune in the 11th. So full moon in the 8th house, look at what was happening with your finances, with your resources, with your goals in December 2021, because this could mean changes to your resources. And it's sextile Saturn in the 10th, so it feels very beneficial for career, or the changes might be coming from your career, like you get a pay raise, or you get a loan that you have applied for 6 months ago, getting an inheritance, a scholarship, recognition at work, right? Like I said, something that either helps you, like you get a loan and you invest it in your business, or you get money from the career and that allows you to pay a debt. There is a good flow happening between your house of debts, taxes, shared resources, and your house of career. Maybe also starting a collaboration, or completing, like, because full moon is a completion. Maybe you've been working with someone together and now you see the good results of it and it benefits you financially. The square to Neptune in the 11th may bring a tinge of uncertainty when it comes to the future, because the 11th house deals with your goals and the way you see yourself in the outside world, or disagreements with people you work with. Like, yes, you get this loan and it's great for your career, but maybe you have to go against what your friends want to do, or what your colleagues want to do. Something needs to be balanced when it comes to friendships and when it comes to the future. Maybe it's also figuring out how to invest this money, because, like, say money comes in, but you need to be more mindful. Maybe you have like a debt that you need to pay, so there is a positive change, but you don't feel as excited about it because it comes with the stars on the bottom that say not all of this money is yours. Therapy breakthroughs are possible too, facing fears, embracing a new version of yourself, healing are lovely possibilities here as well, especially with Sag full moon and the 8th house. What are your beliefs about your exchanges with other people? Do you have a sense that you should always be the one to fix all the misunderstandings, or do you tend to be the one who never fixes anything, or who kind of cuts people off really quickly and then that creates pain in your life? You might want to rethink some of that. For Gemini rising, there is a full moon in the 7th house, sextiling Saturn in the 9th. So changes in relationships that somehow involve education, travel, beliefs, long distance relationships, possibly. So full moon is, and it's interesting because then it squares Neptune in the 10th. So something exciting happening in your relationship, right? Maybe you're going on a trip with your partner, maybe you're committing, maybe you're starting to see things, starting to see the future. And I wonder if it requires you to maybe move for them, or maybe travel a lot to see them, and then you have to sacrifice something in your career in order to make this partnership work. Let me know if that's what's happening in your life. I do have a Gemini rising client, and she's dating someone foreign right now, so she's definitely traveling around and trying to make it work. There's a lot of excitement, but also, it comes with its whole set of needing to organize things, needing to figure out how to do the long distance. So this might be the time when some kind of commitment happens in a relationship. Or, of course, always, if things are not working out, this could also mean separating and going your separate ways. But I wonder, I feel like with Saturn being in the 9th house for a while, I wonder there might be some kind of sense of your values changing. And if you're single, maybe it deals with business, maybe it deals with some other crucial, significant relationship in your life. Maybe it deals with your view on relationships, where before you had this idea that you would never date anyone below 5'8", and now you're like, okay, but this guy is 5'3", but I like him, let's give it a try. So releasing old views of relationship can be a possibility. And squaring Neptune in the 10th house could also either be sacrifices or changes, uncertainty connected to your career, or connected to a relationship too, because 10th house is not just career, it's also your status and reputation. And say you're taking this leap and you're moving to live with your partner somewhere in a new place, but you don't know how it might affect your career, you don't know how it might affect your future. Maybe this partner is so great for you and your ideas are changing, but they don't want marriage, and there is a tinge of compromise, sacrifice, having to let something go. Completing a work project is a possibility here. Getting engaged, getting married, signing contracts are some other possibilities. For Cancer rising, the full moon occurs in the 6th house and it sextiles Saturn in the 8th. Square Neptune in the 9th. 6th house deals with daily life, your routines, your health, habits. It's the plumbing of the chart, as I like to call it. It's anything that is required to maintain a certain lifestyle. So with the full moon here, sextiling Saturn in the 8th house, I wonder if you're making changes to your life that are not the most exciting, but also very supportive of your well-being. So maybe it's sextile Saturn in the 8th, right? Maybe you're investing money into therapy and you're starting psychotherapy, or even physical therapy, any kind of exercise routine, diet. Maybe you see changes to the sector of health because of the therapy you've been doing, possibly too. You may be releasing bad habits. You may be closing a certain professional chapter too, where something didn't serve you and you decide to go in a new direction. It feels like it's going to be good or somehow supported financially. So maybe whatever changes you're making, if you are letting go of a job, possibly you're soon starting a job that will bring you money. You may be, it squares Neptune in the 9th, so there might be a sense of your ideals not being quite satisfied, or maybe the result not coming quickly enough, right? If it has to do with the job, if it has to do with finances, maybe you're making those changes, but you don't know what the future holds. Or another thing too, like 9th house deals with education, travel, legal matters, so there might be delays or uncertainty connected to those things. But overall, a great time to look at your health, to let go of any unhealthy habits, change your diet, change your exercise routine, and maybe figure out what in your immediate environment and what doesn't serve you when it comes to your health, or what doesn't serve you when it comes to your beliefs and things that you're telling yourself. Yeah. I feel like there was something else I was thinking about, but that's probably it. For Leo rising, the full moon is happening in your 5th house and it's sextiling Saturn in the 7th. You are completing some kind of creative project, quite likely. Something that was done in partnership with the other person, because it's sextiling Saturn in the 7th house. There might be changes connected to children, to romance, healing, getting pregnant, starting to try for a child, completing a pregnancy, like a lot of definitely like changes happening when it comes to actual children, but it can also be like healing your inner child or taking care of your inner child over here. Changing your relationship status is a possibility too, where maybe you've been unofficial and now you make it more official. Or like I said, closing some kind of creative partnership, completing a creative project. And it's squaring Neptune in the 8th house. So whatever you're focused on, however you're bringing more joy in your life, be that through creativity, romantic endeavors, or children, this square to Neptune in the 8th house might imply that this is costing you a lot of money, and maybe you feel frustrated about that. Like, you know, kind of uncertain about how your finances will be affected when it comes to that. So it's very, you know, like say you're going on a trip, on a fun trip, but you're spending a lot of money, or say you're taking a leap and you're starting a new project, or you're completing a project and you don't know where the money will come in the future. Definitely can be a bit of like uncertainty. And also if you're choosing more joy with this full moon, maybe your relationship with some people in your life, be that your romantic partner, like if you are married, let's say, and you choose to start dancing, and that maybe is every Friday night, but then your partner feels neglected, or you're choosing a new career, or you're choosing a new path for yourself, and then you are possibly sacrificing or compromising a relationship with someone in your life. So there might be a little bit of that, like, yes, something exciting is happening romantically, creatively, but at the same time, you don't know how it will affect your give and take and your dynamic with people in your life. For Virgo risings, there's a full moon in the 4th house, sextiling Saturn in the 6th, square Neptune in the 7th. So 4th house and 6th house. 4th is family, 6th house, health, service. So you may be completing some kind of major home renovation project, or there might be changes to your relationship with your parents, whether you are putting up healthy boundaries in place or helping them somehow. Maybe it's not just parents, but it can also be a family member finishing something, getting over a health issue. Somehow a lot of your attention, like, you know, for Virgo risings, there's a lot of energy with Gemini in the 10th house. It's all about your career. And then with this full moon, you have to look at your home and your sense of safety and security and your support system and give them some of your attention. This full moon squares Neptune in the 7th house. So maybe you're not quite sure about your relationships, what's going on romantically in your life. Maybe this strong focus on taking care of your family members or your home matters is taking away from your romance right now. And Your partner may feel like you're not fully there for them. So relationship matters can be a little bit blurry right now. And maybe even having to postpone a date or having to postpone a relationship in order to take care of some of the home matters right now could be seen over here. For Libra risings, there's a full moon in your 3rd house, sextiling Saturn in the 5th, and it squares Neptune in the 6th. So full moon in the 3rd house. 3rd house deals with your communication, writing, tech, your schedule, your siblings, your neighbors. And you may be completing something there, right? So it's sextile Saturn in the 5th, so it feels positive, at least when it comes to creative matters and hobbies. So maybe you're closing a chapter of like writing an important project, or you are, completing a class you were taking. Some kind of intellectual change is happening in your life with Saturn in the 5th. It seems like it's very conducive to your well-being, or it's conducive to opening space for fun eventually when Saturn completes its retrograde and exits your 5th house in March 2023. I feel like there's going to be more fun. But even now, I know some Libra risings watching me complain that it doesn't feel super romantic, and I feel you as a Libra rising myself. But I think it all depends on how much effort you're putting in, right? Saturn wants you to put in effort. So if you feel like relationships are important to you and you're willing to put in the effort, this might be the time for that. Changes, positive changes when it comes to your relationship with your siblings, positive changes in the lives of a sibling are likely, or life of a neighbor. It's sextile Saturn in the 5th house, so maybe they're having a child, and you're becoming an aunt or an uncle, so there might be changes there. Great time to declutter, great time to look at your immediate environment, your daily life, what you're spending your time on. Are you spending too much time on social media? Are you chatting with people who frustrate you? Maybe it's the time to let something go. And it's watch out for overextending yourself, or like trying to overdo it and serve everyone and take care of everyone, because this full moon squares Neptune in the 6th house. So you may feel low on energy, you may feel unsure about like work, or if you are completing something, or you are like, even, with the full moon, you may even be starting something that you've been preparing for. Like, let's say you are starting a writing project with Neptune in the 6th house, you might not quite know how much energy will go into it. So there might be a sense of uncertainty because of that. For Scorpio risings, there is a full moon in the 2nd house. It's sextile Saturn in the 4th and squares Neptune in the 5th. So full moon in the 2nd house, something is changing with your finances. You're paying off a debt, you're getting a loan, you are making a major purchase, maybe a purchase connected to the home, because it's sextile Saturn in the 4th. The way I see it is there is a positive energy flow between the house of finances and values and the house of home, family, land, property, safety, security. So there might be exchanges between these two. For example, your family gives you money, or your family gives you support, and it makes you feel finally seen and understood and welcomed, embraced somehow. Or you're investing money into your family. You're giving money to your parents, you're investing money into a home. This full moon squares Neptune in the 5th, so maybe you're not having as much fun. Maybe there's a lot of focus on figuring out the financial side of things, right? Like kind of taking care of your home, your property, but you're not necessarily enjoying things as much as you would like. So, and there might be a sense of uncertainty about your romantic relationship or the status of your future child. Like if you are investing a lot of money, a lot of energy right now into building a home, maybe you have to compromise, postpone getting pregnant. Or there might also be a bit of like confusion and misunderstanding with your partner. So make sure you're discussing everything and communicating very clearly about your wants and their wants in the relationship. For Sag rising, it's quite significant. There's a full moon in your first house and it's sextile Saturn in the third, squares Neptune in the fourth. You are completing some kind of personal project that deals with your self-expression. Maybe it's the professional change where you have been trying to get to a new position, trying to get a new job, and then there's a sextile to Saturn in the third house. So you get it and you start something new, or you complete that journey towards the position. And it requires you to learn something. It requires a lot of time investment, a lot of skills and communication. So you're sort of like highlighting those parts of yourself too. You're learning new skills, you're learning to communicate differently, or you're getting recognition for your skills. There might also be like, you've invested all this time, all this energy, you've built a beautiful workflow, you have helped us create a better schedule, and here, ta-da, a prize, right? Like maybe you get a raise, or you get a new status professionally. The square to Neptune in the fourth house might bring a sense of uncertainty, challenges coming from the home and family. Maybe this new position, if you get a new job, right? Like maybe it takes you away from home. Maybe you're not quite sure how it's going to affect your family life. Maybe your parents don't approve of this new endeavor that you're venturing on, but you have to do it for yourself. You're sort of choosing yourself with this full moon. And of course, you know, this full moon can also affect your physical body, your health, when it comes to maybe you've been making a better schedule in order to take better care of your health. And there's changes on a physical level, like you're feeling better, you're resting more, you're prioritizing your well-being. For Capricorn rising, there's a full moon in the 12th house and it's sextile Saturn in the second, squares Neptune in the third. So you are Capricorn risings, you may be letting something go, quite, you know, literally, but also more spiritually. With the full moon in the 12th house, you're dealing with the realm of self-undoing, hidden fears, uncertainties, insecurities. So full moon in that house will illuminate that for you. So seeing, and you know, it's sextile Saturn in the second house. So there might be certain like financial changes. Say you get money to start therapy with the full moon in the 12th house. Or maybe you're even letting go of a source of income. You're letting go of something that made you feel frustrated, and in turn that makes you feel like you value yourself and you prioritize yourself, and so it gives you a boost in confidence. There might be uncertainty in relationships with siblings, neighbors, or friends who are kind of like sibling-like, because this full moon also squares Neptune in the third house. And that will likely get better, especially around June 19th when Venus will aspect Neptune. But for now, there might be a bit of like uncertainty about your schedule, possibly about your living situation, about your relationship with your sibling or neighbor, and just kind of like not fully knowing how to proceed or what the next direction to take. Aqua rising get this full moon in the 11th house and it's sextile Saturn in the first, squares Neptune in the second. Full moon in the 11th can bring changes, completion, and culmination of a friendship. Can also bring changes to your place in the collective or your social life, right? Like, or your goals and dreams, where maybe you complete a group project, or maybe you complete a part of your life that used to feel important, right? Like say you had a job that maybe used to bring you money, and now, or you had a role in your friend group that used to feel comfortable and no longer it feels comfortable, and now you are making a change, you're making an adjustment, you're pursuing new things, you're closing a chapter in your life. There might be certain uncertainty when it comes to finances, because this full moon squares Neptune in the house of money. So let's say if it is a completion of a project, a change in your professional life, possibly you don't quite know how it might affect your finances, right? Like if you're venturing out on your own, building a business, looking for clients, looking for following, maybe it's not as secure when it comes to your finances as it used to be. And you are encouraged to look at your friendships at this time too, from a perspective, because it's sextile Saturn in the first house. So these changes, they are supportive of your personal growth and your well-being and your self-development. So you may be looking at the friendships and relationships that don't support you anymore, and maybe it's time to rethink them or let some people go in your life. And don't be afraid to make a friendship edit, because it's likely that you know deep inside your heart who's meant to stay and who's not. And for Pisces, there's a full moon in the 10th house, sextiling Saturn in the 12th, squaring Neptune in the 1st. Changes professionally. Look at what was happening in your professional life in December 2021. Maybe you started a new job, maybe you've been looking for a job, and now finally there is some kind of sense of completion where you feel like you finally are making a good living from the career, or you find a job, right? And it's also likely that these changes are supported by Saturn in the 12th. Your willingness to transform, your willingness to release self-undoing tendencies, to release self-doubt, to prioritize your mental health, right? Like maybe you've been investing into therapy, and now that allows you to start a business or go off on your own and pursue like a new career, for example. Square Neptune in the 1st might symbolize that you're not quite sure about the future. Maybe you accomplished something, but there's a bit of like, there's a tinge of this is not quite what I wanted, right? Or this is not quite satisfying for my soul. So it's not necessarily the end, right? But for now, this might be the time to kind of trust the universe and trust that you will figure it out. You just don't need to know all the answers immediately. I wonder too, with the full moon sextiling Saturn in the 12th house, if the changes you see to work are related to pursuing work and making choices that help and heal other people. Because 12th house deals with mental health and places of spirituality, isolation. So sometimes maybe you're choosing, maybe you're like making some kind of professional adjustments that help other people, but then with Neptune in the 1st, you're not quite sure if this is like the perfect choice for you. Let me know if this resonates, and I hope this was a helpful, insightful video. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.